control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today we are covering an Outer Limits episode. This is episode 14 of season 1, and this is the Zanti Misfits, which is probably one of the more famous episodes. I think a lot of people may have heard of the Zanti Misfits but not be able to name it a single other episode. Possibly the pilot, The Galaxy Being, is also quite well known. This one was written by Joseph Stefano in a fairly sort of a period where it was being very productive. In fact, he was not only touching up other people's scripts, but he did take time to write his own, and this was one of them. And in here he's trying to explore how human beings have got to killed each other through the ages and through history, but transposing humans with Zantis, I guess. This first aired on the December the 30th 1963, and it's probably my favourite so far. I really like some of the earlier ones we went through. I really like those. The Man with the Power. Was it The Man with Five Fingers? Was it? I can't remember. The Architects of Fear was a great one, and 100 Days of the Dragon 2. But those are great. But this is, I think, the best so far, despite some of its failings. And I think in the popular reviews probably agrees with me. It was ranked by the TV Guide in 1997 as one of the 100 greatest episodes of all time of TV. 98th, near the bottom, but even so, it was in that list, auspicious list. It's and it also it's permeated beyond the outer limits. For example, Zantis and Zanti Misfits are used to describe certain weird high frequency stock trading actions. Zantis, how about that? And then there's a few like records and things named after it too. And in the film Critters, there's a prison warden called Zanti, which is kind of a reference to this. It's got a lot of elements. I mean, it's got some weak elements. Some of the models look a bit goofy, but overall it builds really nicely. We find out, for example, that the military have sectioned off this town called Morgue in the sort of desert, American desert of California, for the Zantis. The Zantis have basically said, we are landing our criminals and outcasts on your planet. There's nothing you can do about it. It's non-negotiable, but you have to protect off the area so they don't come into contact with you. And I think, and in return, they're going to offer sort of technology and technological advances that will benefit. However, the American government aren't given an option here. They're told this is happening. All they can do is guarantee there is a place for these beings to land. However, meanwhile, someone is approaching this area, and it turns out it's a couple who have a slightly homicidal streak, let's put it that way. It's a couple called Ben and Lisa. Ben is played by Bruce Dern, and given a great turn here. Bruce Dern is really good. He looks very young and he kind of fresh faced. He reminds me a little of James Dean actually in this. And he basically wants to go into this area. The guard says no, and so he just runs him over. And he justifies it by saying, I can deal with reasonable people, Lisa, but he wasn't being reasonable. It's all this. And it turns out Lisa's got this kind of death wish too, but hers is more internal and inward looking. She's kind of she's on the skids. She has been married. She talks about her husband, but she's run off with this guy because he makes her feel alive. But she's still got this weird death wish. That's what's kind of going on there. He sees this weird thing in the desert that looks like a tubby, I don't know, like a very thick bollard or something like that. This thing that about the size of a fridge, maybe a little smaller, and he approaches it and the little door opens and one of these weird bugs comes out that's really big, like 10, 12 inches long, and freaks him out and he runs off. It turns out that it pursues him and kills him. This is one of the guardians of the Zantis, so it's not one of... These Zantis are prisoners, Zanti Misfits, are prisoners from the planet Zanti who cannot be dealt with. We find out the Zantis do not kill each other, so they don't know what to do with people that will not conform to their society. And they've decided Earth is the place to put these things. So he dies. Meanwhile, the military find out this has happened. I have to say, some of the shots in the military complex were really cool. That everyone's kind of hot and sweaty and nervy, and it was really well done. And it looked claustrophobic, and they looked like they were on edge. Well presented, and it opens with I'm not sure what he is. His name's Graves, like a professor who has come there, and he's kind of saying that it's ironic that someone called Graves is coming to a place called Morgue, the name of the town, Morgue, to sort of do this stuff. So, and it's also when he's sort of speculating on what's going on, there's an ant crawling up the wall, and he nonchalantly sort of squashes it, which kind of foreshadows the relationship between the humans and the bug, the ant-like Zantis. I thought that was a nice touch. The guy playing Graves is played by Michael Tolan, Tolan, who was pretty good. He's very distinctive looking. He looks a bit like Adam Driver, actually. He reminded, when I saw it on this watch, I was thinking, he looks like Ben Zolo. And he kind of looks like an older version of Adam Driver. It was kind of interesting. And we see Olive Deering here as Lisa, too, who is an actress, been in lots of things, probably from the 50s, just some 60s stuff, such as this, really. She also played Miriam in the Cecil B. DeMille Ten Commandments, the Charlton Heston version of Ten Commandments. She played Miriam, Moses' sister, so she's kind of was a movie star as well as doing this. She's in it as this suicidal woman, and Graves offers to go in as an ambassador. And talks of peace, but it's not that peaceful. They once Garth's killed, and Lisa then gets pursued. She finds, I say Garth. Ben Garth is Bruce Dern's character. Gets chasing her. When she finds Ben, the Regent chases her. And I have to say, it's not entirely convincing because the sort of model isn't that convincing. The special effects in this sort of rotate between stop motion, which is pretty good. I really quite like it, and sort of just using models being pushed around or dragged around, pulled along to look like they're moving, but in fact they're just static models. And that looks pretty bad. And she's just trying to escape through it, but Graves catches up and kills the Regent in a weird act, considering he's all about the peace, something like that. Which also then allows the Zantis to escape and starts retaliation, starts a fight, actually. The Zantis attack. It's a bit one-sided. They're quite small. You know, the soldiers have got guns and explosives and grenades and stuff like that. There is some kind of cool shots where, one, you see the odd human getting overwhelmed by the Zantis, which is pretty good. But essentially, it's a pretty short battle. But then the people have to wonder what the hell's going to happen. What do the planets of the Zanti make of this? Will they attack? And they sort of hoping it'll work out. But the last bit the Zantis say is, no, we will not retaliate. We never intended to. We just didn't know what to do our prisoners, and we looked at Earth and we saw they could handle our prisoners in the right way. So they kind of planned for this. The rulers of Zanti had planned for this, which is kind of brutal. It's their way of dealing with their misfits. And it ends. Okay, yeah, a really solid episode. There's some cool imagery. There's some cool dialogue. The whole vibe is tense and interesting, and you kind of wonder what's going on. It'll take you out of it a few times, where the Zantis, for example, with Chase Lisa is not convincing. There's a few other shots where the Zantis aren't convincing, but if you can suspend disbelief reasonably well, you'll be well satisfied with this episode. As I say, it is a class one. It's kind of interesting to see that the human race have been declared by the Zanti rulers as born executioners. How about that? So, yeah, really solid episode. High recommend for me. Very enjoyable. I really dug this. And in fact, if you have a look at the Anthologic logo, you'll see a Zanti right there. It's in there already because I knew how good this episode was. So it's goodbye from me. And before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to